6 finals week 1. It didn't take us that long yet. It's going to be our longest and hopefully best finals to date. So let's get right into it. First up, and Longbottom versus Diamond Dogs at 7 p.m. set 1. Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1. Set 2. Mastermind on the Cold Tower 1. And a tiebreaker of Dredge on Midwich Elementary School. The winner of this match advances into the winner's bracket, while the loser of this match has one more chance in the loser's bracket. Following that, one more series tonight. It's going to be Envy versus Dream Player 8:30 p.m. set 1. Spirit on Wrecker's Yard set 2. Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1. And a tiebreaker of Slasher on Cold Tower 1. The winner of that match advances to the loser's final bracket, while the loser will be ultimately eliminated. And I'm excited. You're excited. I know somebody else is excited. The God of Thunder himself ditched me in the Rivals sesh last night after beating Ultron 5 times. We've unleashed him. He's free. He's casting now. Gohan, how does it feel to finally be out of the streamer's cage, mate?
Honestly, it feels amazing not being on the streaming side anymore. It is good to be back, but we have Baki on the Ghoul. He is running the Fresh Coffee, and he's also running the Kaneki Wallet. So we got the increase in leap speed by 14%, and then we also got the increased window to perform a consecutive leap by 3 seconds. So Baki's going to be aiming for a lot of tech here, and it looks like Promo is unfortunately going to go down in the mid-map. Unfortunately not going to be able to make that pallet, as Baki was able to stop his dash just before. But we do have someone working on the totem. We got Supersaurus is already on that totem on the top side, so that's going to be a very good section for them as well. And it looks like they got a really interesting split here, and Ranga's having to just chill here and wait, hoping that Baki doesn't catch on to him. And nearly actually might have if Baki was using his eyes there, but unfortunately is just going to miss Ranga. So Ranga is going to be living for a little bit longer, and they've gotten rid of actually both of his totems. So it's going to be very interesting here, Hunter.
Yeah, coming to a little bit of a pause here. Baki trying to play a little bit more passively and try to sniff out that stealthing survivor ready for the pull. It does happen underneath his nose. It's going to be Ranga straight off the rip, getting Promo off the hook. Now the tunnel out continues over towards the 8 section of the map, where there's this nice filler here, but we don't want the filler. We want another tag. So playing our tags nice and early. We've got 3 injured on the board as it currently stands. Some nice gen pressure in the background for the survivors to be holding up here, but they definitely want one popping soon, just before, the next down happens here over at the tunnel out. As the pallet goes down, we're going to be trying to win the 50 there, but we've been blocked at the pallet, and this is not what you need right now. Your tunnel out going down just after a dropped pallet. No chance of a pallet save, no chance of a beamer save. Ranga has to play a little bit more safe, and he's the only survivor off a generator right now. He was the only one that was able to get a beamer save of some sort, so just to keep that tunnel out in the game that little bit longer, and now that's going to be a pain resonance to slow the game down even more so. Supersaurus and Hasso, both respectively on about 75% of the way and 90% on their gens apiece. Baki, just again playing very defensive around that middle section of the map, is going to be trying to press the survivors off the top side. So he's going to try and put pressure on the hook and the survivors working the gens. And yeah, just going back here towards middle section again once more. Doesn't really see anybody in the far distance. Is happy to just kind of park his ass here over in middle. Just trying to spot out anybody making their rotations preemptively. And oh no, it's looking for like a world full of hurt for the survivors here, but we do have a Crowland on the rock. However, that is going to be back here, so there's not going to be anybody else's in the trial. Oh, well, I'm led to believe, at least. I hope nobody's really in this vicinity. I think we're probably even just going to elect to let Promo to die here. I don't know if this is really worth pulling. It's probably much worth going back and recollecting and resetting. No, we've opted to go for the pull here. Ranga just going to be narrowly missing that swing there, and is going to play for the last second pull. So maybe we can actually get it up and on the way if we manage to win the body block mind games. There's not really much in Baki's favor here to block Ranga from getting that pull there, but Ranga's going to be on the floor, and we're going to be following up the chase back onto Promo, who's running into the middle section of the map. Does have the likes of a Jungle Gym pallet here, but with a Kagune tag, he's going to deny any sort of funny business happening there on out, and we're just going to be taking the chase here over towards 8 again once here. So yeah, again, this pallet is pretty strong, but what can we make of it here? I mean, we've been caught at the middle of it after it does go down, and we've come out of the traversal tag, and it's going to be the grab off the pallet. So you tunnel out 3 generators remaining. Looking like it's going to be 2 Gohan, so it's not all over for the survivors, but it is looking like 4K1 territory.
Indeed, it is. It's looking kind of grim, but we do see Super is going to be cranking that gen, and Backy isn't even going to go to that top side, electing just to go for his bot side, as he knows he has a crazy 3 gen here. He has 5 bottom mid, and he also has 7. So looking quite grim for the survivors here, and he also has this middle gen as well. So he's got crazy traversability, and he's got easy access to all of those gens with his leaps. So he's just going to be checking around, seeing if anyone has started to rotate from the top side, and Ranga isn't going to be able to get that chance to rotate down. So he is going to be resetting with Super at main. So hopefully Hasso is going to be able to rotate around safely and be able to get on gen safely without having to have Backy on his case. But it looks like they're just going to have to try and rotate a little bit further towards the backside of main, make sure they don't get spotted, and Hasso here now has to be very careful here, because if he gets found in this bot side and gets pain res, it is going to be looking very grim for Diamond Dogs, because if he can get hooked in this 4 gen bot side, it is not going to be ideal for Diamond Dogs, as they need all of the bodies they can on this trial. And currently Super and Ranga have finished the heal, so they are going to be able to work their way down to bot side. Backy, knowing this, might elect to go towards the mid map, but no, he has opted to try and select and see if he can find someone on this gen, and unfortunately he does find Hasso here. So Hasso is going to take the first tag here. Unfortunately, there is no Shack Ballad here, so Hasso is going to get hit through the window. Mighty unfortunate for Hasso, not going to be able to get that vault. So that is going to be a hook into his 3 gen Hunter.
Yeah, that's horrible stuff. And you said it there a little bit earlier that you couldn't be found in that 4-gen scenario, and Hasso definitely was. Now, when he got hit, I think throwing the pallet sacrificed a lot of distance, wasn't actually able to make the window after that, didn't have anything to be working with, and he was really trying to get his life off, but, you know, with no shack pallet to his avail, he's ultimately just going to be hooked into the basement at that point after being hit after the window. It was already looking pretty grim being found here over at corner 7, because Backy knew somebody was stealthing around here. Was never looking for a reset. He always knew they were going for a reset topside. He wanted the remaining survivor that was going to be sniffing out what kind of generator they could work underneath his nose. And as he does have now a hook straight bang in the middle of everything here, he's in the power position now. Supersaurus trying to make a way with Champions of Light, undetected, hiding behind the boxes, ready to get that pull for when the right moment is to do so. And Ranga just going to be slamming out over at 8. Now, the survivors have done very well in this regard to pull this back just a little bit, where it looks somewhat favorable to them. I mean, Backy forced to take ground here over in the basement and solidify that second stage onto Hasso. All in the meantime, they're getting gen pressure. They have somebody who isn't found at the moment, so you really got to give your hats off to Supersaurus and Ranga in this scenario, playing this 2v1. Well, hang on a second. I think we've been spotted out. No, he's seen him through the cracks of the window, and that's going to be the tag. That's forced Ranga off his generator as well, and we know where Supersaurus is going. We don't even have to chase this realistically, but we've opted to commit just a little bit because we know Hasso has hit the second stage. All in the meantime, we found the generator that's being worked as well. It could only been really 8 or mid. And Ranga forcing himself off the gen is going to be playing middle. Now, I think in this scenario, perhaps, do they go for a reset here? It's looking like they potentially will, but I don't think they can. I think Backy will pick up on that fact. He'll know that they'll be going for a reset over at top, because he will see the fact that nobody has made their rotation back to the gen or the pool. There's one thing for certain, though. They are going to be letting Hasso die. There is absolutely no way you can pull him out of the basement unhurt, uninjured at that point. So they've opted to go for the gen pressure here as to opposed to going for a reset. And it's very smart of them because, you know, if they did go for the reset and they did get found, that would have been absolute problems for them. Now, Supersaurus caught in a spot where he could potentially, he sees a window to potentially go for the save, but it's a little too ambitious. It's overzealous. It's very risky. So ultimately, the best case scenario here is like clockwork. What we were saying before, Gohan, is to let Hasso die and try to pop at least one more generator for 4K1.
Yeah, indeed, and unfortunately, Ranga is going to be caught out as well on that tile as well, not being able to make it away, and no pallet to really save him either. So Ranga is just going to have to try and loop for his life, while Super is going to be chilling on that gen and just try and get as much progress as they can, because we know as soon as this down happens, he's going to be instantly on top. But no, he actually elects to go for the pick to maybe avoid a possible fresh bleed out, which is very good. So Backy is going to be able to catch on to that, and he's going to get a free pain res as well. So He knows someone is around this water tower jet as well, but no, he's actually going to opt to drop him just before because he knows that someone might still be around, and he is right, someone is around, as we know with the spectating, but Baki has to try and figure out where exactly did Supersaurus go, and it is looking like he is actually going to be able to get picked up on Ranger as well, so Super being able to avoid Baki's gaze just for that little bit longer is a really good situation for them, but we still come back to square one where we have to do that gen. We have to do either gen to get some progress on the board, and currently it is not looking ideal as both of them are injured and don't really have a chance to go and rotate to the top side. And if Baki was able to spot earlier on Supersaurus, he was going to be able to eat his sprint burst, but unfortunately not going to be able to, so Super is going to get that chance to do it. And Baki looking at the floor to make sure he's got more rotations and more time on his Cargune as well, so he is going to get the tag onto Super. Power back in hand at full force back for the 3 tokens, so now Ranger, as per usual, is going to have to hop back onto that gen to try and get it as much progress as we can. So now we are going to be chasing on to this shack as well. And a little note that I noticed as well, you can actually get a bite through the little planks of wood on the window next to the shack pallet, which was very interesting. So that's a little nice little bit. And Baki is going to miss the M1 on Ranger. That is interesting, considering we know the ping difference between these two players is actually quite not that bad. It's like, what, 20 to 30 ping difference?
It's 20 to 60, Gohan.
Oh my.
Yeah.
How did he miss that then?
DVD sometimes. However, Ranger have an absolutely incredible chase, which honestly probably needed to happen a little bit earlier on, but these final chases, there's always something about them. They go on for ages where it'll be like 4K2, 4K1, and it's like, where was this beforehand? And I guess maybe Baki just picking up on the fact that everybody was just out of position, and it's not the fact that these survivors aren't capable of actually being well versed in the chase itself. It's just more so, yeah, those little bit of mistakes happening off in the middle to early term game events. Like you saw Hasso get caught over at 7. You had a fairly quickly tunnel out, which sometimes can't really be helped. I get it. I 100% understand. But then you had later on in it, I think after those two things, those two big things, it just created these instances where you're never really going to be able to get on top of the game. It looked like pulling back 4K1 was even undoable at some stage, and it was. This is 4K2 now. Baki's just played very well to capitalize on all of those mistakes and held his 4-gen really well. Typically, you see killers hold the top side more so than the bottom side, usually because the top side has better gen spawns and, you know, has the likes of main building being... and you know what? It's a very strong hook here over in the basement. You know, you don't want to be getting caught here over in basement in the midst of everything, where you won't have that problem over.
The recent events we do have now, Ranger is going to be on the killer, so he is going to be running the fresh coffee, which does increase the leap speed by 40%, and now he's going to opt, instead of using the wallet, he's going to be running the satchel, which increases the speed of the third leap by 30%. So he's going to be trying to do some cutoffs here, Hunter, and honestly, with how these guys play, with how Longbottom play, I don't know if he'll be able to get as many cutoffs as he would like.
Seeing a lot of those crouch techs coming in from the boys as well, like, I don't know, they kind of like just catch the killer like a football or something, you know, so I'm pretty excited to see what they can pull out the hat as far as ghoul techs go. It's been more, I don't know if I've seen them play more blight sets or more ghoul sets, to be honest with you, but it doesn't really matter.
It's pretty even.
Yeah, it should be pretty even off the top of my head, you know. I couldn't really get a fact check really now, but we're going to be spawning into the map here on out, and we've lost the HUD a little bit, which is a quite odd little bit of spectator bug here on the top, I guess.
I believe if you rotate through the survivors, it could come back up.
There it is.
Or you could just do the new thing that I found out streaming one day, and if you press shift, it would just remove the top bar. So that was fun. But no, we do have the first chase on Baki, and Canalave has already found the totem, I would like to think, or is it silly? Okay, 2 people are on a totem. Either one person's doing inner healing and the other person's found a totem. Or, okay, so one's doing inner healing, one's doing the totem, hopefully. But we do have the first tag on Baki, and it is in his corrupt, so while that is a good thing, because then he can keep bot side and keep that protected, but if we have a look here, his top side is also looking very good for Ranger as well. And if you didn't know, Hunter, for the slingshots with Ghoul, if you have at least over 50 or more ping, you can't actually do the slingshots the same way as you would with under 50 ping, which is like where you get like the massive speed boost. On 50 and above, you kind of just fast go into the next object you're looking at. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ranger can play Ghoul in that sense, considering it is a bit more of a debuff if you're on higher ping. But in saying that, if you're on higher ping, you can learn to play a different way of playing Ghoul. So you might have more of an advantage against some people because they will be expecting certain techs to be used that don't actually end up being used. And we do see a lovely tag onto FJ here. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do that crouching, as you mentioned, for hand as well. So now Ranger is just going to try and get this chase on main as well. And as we know, main is a disgusting loop, and we do have Corrupt is nearly ended. 2 gens are on the way to popping as well, and FJ is just taking all of this time to get as much mileage as he can.
Yep, and he's just ultimately stopped over at the main building here, where he's going to be playing the worst filler on the map. It does go down, and he's won the 50 around it, even got inside of main. He's opted to use the window. Does he win the 50? He does as well. We're swinging into a whole lot of nothing feature. It's gone absolutely crazy. Vaults the pallet, vaults the window, straight back into main. Around the loop on the backside as well, over at 12 in the coal bucket pallet here, over at mid 11. How do you like him now? He was playing around the rock here. He's improved so much since the last time I've seen him play Survivor. My God, gonna be missing that swing there too. Faking the pallet drop, does ultimately do it though, and is still taking the chase here over towards corner 7. That's gonna allow the first generator of the trial to pop here, and it's gonna be going down. Unfortunately, Canna is not gonna be able to get any sort of firecracker save in that vicinity. Now, when you look at the game as a whole, which we saw happen beforehand, Gohan, when you mentioned that we got out in a healing up and we actually did manage to get another totem breakage there, Ruin's gone. You know, it took two attempts last game because we had double Ruin, we had Undying and Ruin. But as a trade-off of bringing these totem perks here over at Suffocation Pit 1, the spawns are very stagnant. They're the same. They don't really change too much. They're out in the open as well, so they're pretty easy to find, which is why you'll see some, killers bringing in some of those wacky perks. And we are going to be taking that pallet drop onto Ranger. They're going to be winning that stun. Now, these guys are both on the same ping, might I add. Canna going to be vaulting the window of the 4 walls there. And Ranger's ultimately decided he doesn't want any of it. He's going to be going back to the main building where we do see that unhook happen just in the background. Another tag onto Baki. He's already injured, but that's going to be the Kagune tag, giving us 3 dashes in hand. Now Rango is going to be traversing back to the middle of main, where potentially he can find his tunnel out again once more. Feija just hauling us towards 2. Only has a dropped filler and a dream to be working with. It's a fairly short filler, but he's going to be using his Champions of Light and his flashlight to blind the killer and try to make a way back to the main building where it's nice and safe, or even go straight down the guts of middle. He's going to be dropping the pallet here just before making the midsection of the map, but we're going to be zone breaking him. We do have the bodies coming in to make sure that he lasts for his death location, or his prioritized death location. Going to be trying to play around it there, but we know how hard that can be, especially with so much time to play around this, the tentacles for the serves. As we do take the tag onto Canna, he's just forced back into the middle of the map again with nothing to be working with. And we've ditched our tunnel out entirely and opted to go for somebody entirely fresh. Now, potentially, no, we won't be getting any sort of pain resonance. We are way too far away in any regard. That's going to be Silly's gen popping for the tie condition at the very least.
Hooks.
Yeah, they're just, they're unsavory to say the least. And that's going to be the hook here over at 2. Ranger straight back over towards the likes of 10. He can hold the 3 gen over at top, but it's not going to be enough if he does manage to do so. Now, if we do look at our spread, it is quite similar to Backy's. There's a lot more progression on the map, and there's a lot less pressure for the survivors to be worrying about because they only have two stages allocated to our killer. And that gen over in mid, still over in Narnia, realistically. It's nowhere near as close as the generator was for Backy. Well, maybe a little bit. It was probably a little bit more closer to the cluster in Backy's game, but it doesn't matter. Ranger going to be playing around the mind games over at the drop filler over in the 4 walls again. Canna just made away with all that distance there. We've reset the tunnel out again. As we see scratch marks leading into 10, it's going to be Backy in chase this time around. So we're just playing our freshers, getting our downs in, getting our hooks in. It is looking currently like they will be getting outs from this position from onwards, but we're really trying to get that tag onto Silly again, and we do so very nicely. This is going to be stopping the generator here over at 10, but we need it down for Eruption to take into effect. We do have it applied over to main as well, but I think we might even just be slamming out that middle generator, Gohan, trying to get that out of the way and, you know, at least getting the one gen that we need done and dusted for the set to be going to end Longbottom.
Yeah, indeed it is. And as you were saying earlier as well with FJ, he has been on the grind clearly, especially since he was able to join Longbottom as well. That probably was a massive boon for him to learn more about this game. And honestly, he was a really good killer when he started out, and then he just kept growing and growing. And look at him now, he's on one of the best teams within OCE, alongside like Baki, Silly, Miji, Kanna, all those types of players. And I'm sure they're putting in the work for FJ to make him learn as much as he can. And right now, Ranger is going to have to try and snowball this game, because right now it is looking kind of grim. And unfortunately, as you said, yeah, that middle gen is going to be cranking, and it has popped. So that is going to be the first set to Longbottom. So we are going to have to then go to Mastermind. So that's going to be a fun set for me, as I personally like Mastermind and Ghoul as well. But Baki is going to have to try his best here to loop around this 10 filler here. And Baki is going to be able to drop it here. So now he has to try and loop around this as best as he can. Win the 50s. He's got 100 in his pocket right now. So let's see if can he get for 150. And he does kind of get 150, but instead of going for Baki, we've opted to go for Silly now. So Silly is going to go down to this pallet, unfortunately, going to be hit over it. And we do see Baki is trying to get his refresh up by healing himself with the self-care, but FJ is going to reveal himself, and in turn, Baki is going to reveal himself as well, as he was going to try and go back to pick up Silly. So unfortunately though, Ranger has caught that, and now Baki is in this situation where we have one slugged, one on the floor, one's getting picked up as well. FJ trying to go for the pickup and not unfortunately being able to make it in time, as Ranger has come back back for the picking and has picked up now Silly. Kanna on that generator all the way at 1, but now we have the option for pain res. So Kanna is just going to pre-leave the heck out of that gen, make sure that gen doesn't even have to get worried about, because he knows Ranger is just going to rush right back, and that he does. And he doesn't actually find Kanna yet, because he's decided to flung on the opposite side, but unfortunately, or fortunately for Kanna, he's actually able to jiggy it and stealth Ranger out for that entire time. And now we're just going to have to try and go back for a down onto Baki or onto Silly as well, because we had to try much, and we actually have 99 dark heal with the self-care. That is very unfortunate for Ranger, as now he has to try and send it for this generator 1, as he knows his generator would be getting worked on as well. And now we got FJ here. He's got SV in hand. He's got to try and bait it out, and unfortunately Ranger isn't going to swing at him, so he has a little bit more time. Silly is now healed in the background as well, so instantly getting a body block as well. So they actually called out for FJ to probably run over to that side of the map to get a reset hit on with Silly. So now Kanna is going to have to try and loop around this rock, try and get as much distance as he can after, as he does have overcome. So he's going to be able to instantly run straight down to the mid-map and get the heals onto people. But no, we've actually opted to stay around this one generator hunter. And
yeah,
that would be why.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we had so much pressure over at 1 and over at 10. With 4 survivors left in the map, even the tightest for 3 gens break. And Kanalave just going to be playing around the window again nicely. Does vault it once. How many 50s can this man win? Does he make that one? Nah, it's a little too much. 60 on 60 can be diabolical sometimes, and that's exactly why. The man's been shot dead in the suffocation pit 1. I dare say they're even going to be taking out just the outs at hand. I'll be very... you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they actually played for this. Where are the gates at the moment? Because we're looking over at corner 11. I did see on the other side of the map.
Oh,
oh no, we have one over at 2. We do have one over more towards 5. They could play for this. So we do have Silly parked up, ready for the save over in the coal buckets. He's just hiding out just on the out front of top mid, more towards main. Next to our dropped filler now.
This could be...
Nah,
could be possible, unless they just want to take the outs. No, okay, they're healing FJ as well.
No, they will play for this. They'll now play for this. We have life, which is why we're stealthing around the dropped pallet here. So we're going to be ready to use that as soon as that heal comes in and the boys are all ready to go and get the pull. We got a 99 sprint burst as well, or just about. So there it is. So all exhaustions are prepped. We are ready to go for the pull for when the comm is made. And there it is. You see Silly happen to take the tag just there. And behind him is FJ ready for the pull. Alongside Backy, we're a little too far away. That vantage point just a little too strong. And yeah, look, they're retreating. They're thinking about it. They really had to bait it out. Then the 99 sprint burst coming into full effect, and Kana is off the hook. A body block coming in from Backy, but he's not going to be able to do much with it. He's going to be getting grabbed at the window, and this potentially can be more stages allocated towards our killer. Not going to help him in any regard, as he, you know, lost his win condition a while ago. Having a very rough one to be working with. It was 4K3, so very, very early on into the trial, and yeah, the boys have just said, screw it, you know what, we're leaving entirely. So was that 7?
Welcome back, everyone down. Now we're on to the second set of the first series. We now have a Mastermind on the Cold Tower 1. We have Ranger is going to be going up first, and Ranger is going to be using leather gloves and jewel beetle. So as we all know, leather gloves is going to be our recharge rate by 8%, and then we have the jeweled beetle, the giveth and taketh add-on. It's either you fling it into someone into a wall, or you fling them and you don't get anything. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many slams we can get, or how many flings into a wall we can get, considering that add-on is very, very push and pull. So we're going to have to see how he does well, and we are going to be loading in now. We have everyone is going to be spawning on the bot side of the map, and Ranger is going to be spawning here at 11. Going to be double dashing instantly down, and we have a very similar build from what Backy was running last game, Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, just no eruption. Again, we've opted to go for double ruin, which on Cold Tower, a little bit better, but we are going to be taking chase next to one of the lit totems. That's going to be Undying done in the background, and we've spotted out the one over at 7 now. So it looks like all of a sudden, if we can make our ways down to 10 with the use of these pallets here and get our killer nice and far away, we can get these totems done in the trial within the first 2 minutes, which will just be so, so upsetting. As I just said, that the totem spawns might be a little bit better, and we are just going to be dropping the pallets here, making towards that 2 section of the map. Ranger just going to be trying to cut somebody off here over at 3. Rune's still into effect, so he's gotten a little bit of value in this regard, but he's going to be following up scratch marks towards Feija, who's just vaulted the window over in to the likes of 2 Jungle Gym, where the pallet does go down. He's going to be playing around the long portion of the wall, which is going to result in a tag and a slam straight into the half wall there. And if you heard that in the background, I do believe that is our last totem perk being broken into. Oh, not. Oh, there's no way he just sacrificed that whole state for bada bada boom. Oh, come on. I need to look away for half a second, because now that's put Ranger in such a good position. A slam into the rock, Backy injured. Oh, that's horrific. It's horrific, but we're going to be taking this hook into the backside of 12 as well. So this is an absolutely incredible hook for the killers to be working with. They like to hold it pretty much throughout the remainder of the trial in Cold Tower 1. You're going to be seeing this happen in effect here, as Ranger does spot out 2 survivors here over in the mid-map. I'm not too sure if he'll get a glance over at the logs to see to sight out the survivor just slamming out the pistons there, but Ranger is going to be pulling up power, really trying to get Backy with a nice set of dashes, and Backy with a nice set of movement is going to be making towards the eye filler here. Ranger with power up again, and we do get that smash hit, and we're going to be hauling us towards 7 or 8, more so now, with no pallet to be working with within that area. It's going to be Feija off the hook as well. I'm a little bit flabbergasted as to why we have just completely ditched our tunnel out and reset it with no gen pressure on the map. Getting a pain resonance doesn't even really mean anything at the moment, and I guess we're just trying to apply pressure on all different parts and areas of the matchup here. Ranger's going to be really trying to facilitate for that down. Backy's made away. Whoever else he was chasing is made away. Kind of getting a little bit lost in the sauce, I might add. And does he actually make this pallet here over at 6? He does. But Ranger has opted to chase somebody who probably won't, honestly. Silly. Just caught in a very unsavory location. Does manage to dodge the dashes. We're anticipating he was going to go for like a flare of some sort of half flare just to send Ranger off into the distance. That's a nice looking stun. It's going to be slapped into the face of Baki. It's going to extend the chase just a little bit longer.
Indeed it is, and oh my, oh me, oh my, this is looking quite grim for Ranger here, as he has lost that tunnel out on FJ as well, but has managed to find Baki here at the top side, and we do have main as well, just popping as well. So we are going to be getting some progress on the board, and we have found another survivor here. I believe this survivor was Baki, unless it was Silly that is rotated all the way to the top side. So we want to see who he's about to be chasing, and they are running it straight down to this bot side. And I wanted to point out, this bot side spread of pallets that they had was disgusting. We had the eye filler straight into the shack window, and now we have Silly does have light, so he's able to jiggy around this as well. And we do have that filler as well at 7 to work with. So their RNG right now is absolutely amazing for them. So Silly is going to be able to take this the extra mile, hopefully, as well. And we do have Ranger. He's going to try and getting him here, and unfortunately, he isn't going to be able to making it there. He is going to get tagged here, and as you said before with the bada bada boom, was it really worth it in the end? Well, I would say yes, considering that Baki isn't dead yet. But right now, Ranger is just trying to hold out his power, and he is unfortunately pre-dashed into that area. Unfortunately, Baki wasn't there anymore, and we do have Baki here ready for the pickup here. If Ranger can try and guide it away from it, he might be able to get it, but no, we get the stun and the hit as well. Ranger is going to be able to not get that full one, and now it is up to whoever gets in chase to not go down. But there is no eruption to worry about, so they can kind of just sit on the gens and sit pretty on him. But right now, Ranger has to try and get his next chase, and he has found Feature. He is our tunnel out, and right now, we need to get a quick 2-tap here, and he is going to get the first tag quite quickly as well. We got Counter here as well on this tile, but he's not going to opt to try and assist FJ here. He just wants to make sure that that gen gets completed as quick as possible. Right now, Ranger has to try his best here, and unfortunately, not going to be able to get a hug tech here. So Ranger is going to opt to go away and go for Counterlave, and Counterlave isn't going to risk his hit for the gen, so he's going to try and play a little bit more safer, but unfortunately, the mind game not working out. Ranger is going to be able to get the tag and going to kick this gen now. No extra regression, so unfortunately, he is going to have to try and find another down very quickly to try and get a pain res going, but unfortunately, Silly and Baki have both healed themselves at the bot side, so there isn't going to be much here looking for Ranger unless he can get a quick and easy 2-tap here, but knowing how these guys play, it's going to be quite hard to even secure that first one, and we do see Baki here is not going to be able to make it, and unfortunately, not going to be flung into any objects, the giveth and taketh of Jeweled Beetle there. So Baki is going to be able to do some little jiggy mind games here on the edge map here, and is going to be able to make it towards the shack, but now Ranger going to wait for his power to come back, and he's going to be able to get the fling into an object as well. So we might see the quick 2-tap here unless Silly can run into Baki and get a protection hit. Ranger looking behind him, making sure that he doesn't get that. So we're going to scare off Silly there for a moment. Baki is now going to go down on the edge map, and if we do get a pain res here, which our pain reses are, that is very grim for Ranger, considering we need a pain res hook now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, making down from corner 7 to mid 3 is just very, you're pushing it at that point, and with 2 survivors here over at 5, a body block could potentially be taken if it's even really needed, but we are going to be getting that tag onto Canna, who's just forced in the top section of the map. Now, Ranger doesn't want any of it. He's going straight back towards his 3-gen here over at the bottom section. We do see Silly taking up the next chase here over towards 5, but we've bumped into the crates, and it's just a little bit mismanagement there, but you know what, it's a lot easier said than done, especially with it being this far into the game, with it being this close. The competition is really tight right now, and Ranger knows it. He's just going to be checking up on his generators because he's caught at a loss. He doesn't want to overcommit something. I'm still struggling to get my head around why we just never played so defensive in the early game. I feel like if we did that, it just would have set us up for a better game in the long run. You know, you had a good down over behind main. We ditched it entirely, and I guess I can't fault him for playing aggressive. You know, you want to be playing for those stages and those rinse repeat downs, which I don't think a team like Longbottom is going to give up very easily because, you know, if you look at the match at hand right now, they're just not. And we're going to be slamming FJ into the wall, but he's just haul us over towards top. Now, if we chase him, we lose that last generator, which will dispel 4 stages. However, we find Baki again, so we're taking our tags again, trying to play it slow. The Survivor's doing the same and counteracting every single decision that's being made by Ranger. As he gets his tags in, they're going for resets, and there's always going to be one healthy bro just slamming out a piston, and look at him go. And this is going to be silly, playing nice line of sight breakage, winning all kinds of 50s, and we've lost sight of him. Ranger with the flick up in the air, frustration. He does see Silly, who's just traversed into the middle of Shaq. But it doesn't matter. And the adrenaline play as well. He's up and away, all the way down into 4 section now, where this nice filler pallet does go down. It's so long to be working with. You just need to break it in some aspects, and that's exactly what Ranger is doing. Does see that there's bodies over in the distance for them to be taken, but again, the micro mismanagement has spelled trouble for Ranger, and it's going to be ultimately, I think, 4 survivors leaving out the door. We're getting a nice little speed boost from that as well. And that's going to be Silly, Canna, Baki, and potentially Feature. No, we've caught Feature at a loss. He needs to bait out.
FJ's just going to bait one dash and he gets this. But he's going to play this mind game, though.
I don't know. He's playing around the rock, I guess, but you're a little too far away from the hatch, and you're going to be blocked off from the exit gate here, so I guess he can just hold position and make sure that the end game collapse does its job for 4 stages. At least this isn't one of the freshest where it could be 5 stage, because we've seen how much 1 stage can potentially mean in games like this, and it's going to be the down ultimately onto FJ. 4 stages go on.
4 stages, not the best, not the worst, but on paper, it looks like a very rough game. I will be introing us again as my co-caster is eating some Italian sausage on some bread. So we are going to be loading in here. We are going to be seeing Baki on the killer. He is going to be running Ouroboros Tendril and Loose Crank, so he's going to have that movement speed while charging by 5%, and he's going to be able to get that movement speed during the first and second dash by 15%. So he might be able to get some little jiggy hits here with the dashes, and we are going to be seeing a completely different build here. We're going to be seeing Corrupt, Pop, Pain Res, and that Turn Back the Clock. So we're going to be able to getting a little bit more defensive on the gen-wise compared to what Ranger had, which he was trying to opt more for the base regression thanks to Ruin, but unfortunately those were popped really quickly. So we don't have to grow our totems in this map because we're not bringing anything, but we do have that first chase onto Ranger and then instantly leaving as well. Beanie is going to be the second chase instantly and going to be getting that tag as well. Mighty unfortunate for Beanie. Beanie's just going to descend it down to the bot side. And unfortunately, it's going to be the opposite of where you ideally want to be going. But as we saw earlier, we did have survivors that were stealthing in that area. So Beanie's next best option was to run it down the map towards the 5 side. So we are going to be trying to get cheeky here, and we do have the Lithe to assist us to get us to this next pallet here. But unfortunately, we are going to be getting tagged through the pallet. Not going to be able to have much, and we have 2 survivors here in this mid-gen area as well. So we are going to be having to opt to leave that as well. So we're going to lose a lot of progress on that mid-map. But we did see Supersaurus is cranking a gen in the background as well. So we're going to try and get that done ASAP. And now we know there is another gen progress somewhere on the map. It is not going to be this top mid generator at all. So we're going to go in down straight towards Ranger, who is here at 10. So we are going to be using our turn back the clock as we already had used our pop onto that middle gen. And we are going to be seeing Ranger is going to be here now. And he's going to be hopping into the locker, making sure he doesn't get tagged. But we're going to be getting pulled out of the locker. Baki and Ranger's probably very surprised there, as the animation did not look like Baki was going to be ending with that power, with the cooldown on that. So we are going to get a free tag on to Ranger. That's 2 hooks of our allotted 5 we need to get the win con. This is looking kind of grim here, Hunter.
Yeah, it's oh my god, and we got another tag onto Supersaurus as well. All in the meantime, you see in the background, I think that's Beanie slamming out another generator, or could potentially be Promo. I didn't really see yet. It's Beanie, but Baki gonna be taking ground here, trying to cover the distance between the hook and the chase so he can put pressure on both, because realistically, chase being in middle, hook being on backside main, horrible for the survivors to be working with. The slap of the pallet there is going to spell a little bit of distance for Supersaurus, but does not have smash hit. He is the head-on player. We do see Promo rotating for that save, and Backy's seen him. He's caught him with his eye just in the far distance there, and does get slammed into the rock. All in the meantime, what's going to be forcing Supersaurus to go back towards the hook over at 12. You really need to get this survivor off the hook in the game, up and at them, because the moment they aren't is the moment that Backy takes control of the match. Now, this is what I want to point out, which is what I was talking about beforehand last game, okay, when you have a hook like this, because we had a similar scenario to where you had Backy injured, you had Fija on the backside hook, and it was looking like problems very early on in the trial. Backy never ventured too far away. He did a little bit of chasing over in mid, you know, did get his tag in, didn't get it down, didn't really matter. He went straight back to hook where he secured the second stage onto Ranger. And now if you look at the scenario, he's caught them all bundled up. Ranger is second stage. He can just commit freely now that the second stage has been hit. He doesn't have to play aggressive so early on, but again, it could have been just down to the fact that I didn't see that the situation is different. I completely understand that. However, it's looking pretty similar in a lot of aspects. We do see Supersaurus go in for that pull, and it needed to happen. You need the survivor off and up and at them, and I know with everybody injured, it's going to make those gens really hard to press. You want to be resetting, but you really need the pressure, and they're dispersing on the map now, which is exactly what I want to see. I want to be able to see at least a couple gens being done. We are going to be committing the chase back onto Ranger. We're really trying to keep him alive. Promo's even going to be going down as well, just before the mid-bat, which is just going to allow Ranger to be able to make this pallet here and try and play around the short filler. This can prove to be pretty troublesome sometimes, and ultimately a little bit of patience for Backy is going to spell the down onto Ranger, which will mean that we get our first generator of the trial proc, which is very good, but we walked through the pallet. We've kind of powered through that, my God. It's very ambitious, but Supersaurus not opting to go for the pallet save, was just, you know, playing a little bit more passive-like and careful. I don't think Backy would have commit the pallet if he knew that Supersaurus, since he knew Supersaurus was there. Supersaurus just kind of camped it, but doesn't really matter. We have Promo on the floor. Backy's going to be using turn back the clock value over at 5. Just that perk can really be detrimental, and honestly, it's looking like he's getting way more value from his build. Now, granted, he is getting downs. And honestly, you didn't see too many happen last game. You saw 2, and ultimately, pop goes the weasel, and turn back the clock aren't going to get value from 2 downs. They're going to get value from multiple downs. On the contrary, you bring Ruin and Undying. Ruin Undying got cleansed straight away last game. Straight away! It was gone within like less than 2 minutes. So
5 and 7.
yeah, would have it been better to bring in Pop Goes the Weasel and turn back the clock? I mean, look at the value that it's getting this match. Bang, twice. Oh my God. It's really putting the pressure on this generator here over at 5. So much that we've made Beanie just hesitate at the T and go down. And Backy is just, yeah, he's blown the win condition out of proportion. Did it ages ago over my rambling, but I mean, yeah, wow. You know, he's looking like potentially 4K3. I'll be very surprised if he holds on to a 4K4, however, I won't say that it's unlikely, put it that way.
Indeed, yeah, and as you mentioned there, with Promo's hook, it actually was the win con, considering it would be a 4-3, which would obviously take over a 4-2. And now Promo is going to be able to use his balance lining to make it down towards this 10 side of the map. He does have this pallet here, so if Backy can get a short swing through that, but unfortunately not going to be able to making that, Promo is going to know he's going to try and short swing that, trying to get down. But we are going to opt to leave and go straight for this 5 gen that just pops as well, so we might actually see that 4K3 instead. Hunter, as you mentioned earlier, maybe a 4K2 if we can get Promo back on that main gen ASAP and get it done as quick as possible. But we have now Beanie is going to be chasing at the shack here. So if we can see a pretty good dashes from Backy, we are going to be seeing it down, but unfortunately we are not going to be seeing that down. We're not going to be seeing a really nice clip-worthy moment for the Twitter or for the clips for our end of season awards. So we are going to be having this eye filler once again, and unfortunately Backy is not going to be able to get a slide off of the pallet to get something amazing here. But we are going to be seeing a double dash, and it is going to be the down onto Beanie, but no, we have opted to no. Oh no. Okay, so we did get a clip, but unfortunately for all the wrong reasons.
Oh,
That
God,
is
horrible.
mighty grim.
It's
That is.
horrible.
Oh no.
Dude, we've all been there. We've all seen somebody that we think is in strife and we're trying to save them, but we end up sandbagging the absolute crap out of them. My God, the intentions were there, they were pure, but the execution just obviously could have been a little bit better. However, I won't be one to judge. I know that I'm getting 4K5 by Baki. However, that's going to be the down onto promo, and we're just going to be slamming out that remaining piston over at 10, which Supersaurus has elected to leave. Did we catch glimpse of him? Did we catch sight of him? We may have just.
We have.
We've opted to keep the gen for the pressure, you know, just to make sure and solidify the 4K3 there, Gohan.
Indeed, yeah, because as long as this chase, as long as Supersaurus isn't able to make it back to promo and get him up, and then somehow promo is managed to get away, even with the 5% hindered with the full infection. And we did try to get Jiggy and get a hog tech here. Unfortunately, though, Super wasn't going to be falling for that, and he was just going to keep looping for his life. And Baki is going to wait for his dashes again. So we have got to be pointing out Pro. We're going to catch out Super here. Unfortunately, Baki just waiting in that little corner was all that was needed to get Super to contemplate himself here, and we are going to see Baki here not going to go for that second dash as he thinks that Super was going to do something jiggy again. So now we are going to have to play around this palette, and now we are maybe going to be seeing something juicy here, and we're going to try and see the insta flick, and unfortunately Baki's not going to be able to connect with that. So we're going to continue this chase on to Super, and we're going to get that one dash, and no, not enough distance for the one dash. Super, knowing that he wasn't going to get enough speed, he's going to cheekily try and spray that deodorant onto him, get rid of the infection rate. But unfortunately for him, Baki is still going to be hot on his tail, and he's going to try and get something jiggy here. And he's going to be able to get the hug tech, and he's not going to be able to make it, unfortunately, vaulting that pallet. Because unfortunately, for some reason, when dashing near a pallet, it takes precedent of the interaction. And unfortunately, Super is not going to be able to make anything. Going to be getting that down, and Baki going to be solidifying his 4K3 for the win to Longbottom. That is going to be a 2-0 win towards Longbottom. Very well played from Longbottom. Very unfortunate for the side of Diamond Dogs, but I believe they are in the winners bracket, so it is not over for them just yet. They still have a chance in the losers bracket to come back, as we do know they did make the finals last season, but they did have the likes of Gibbsy. Not saying that obviously that changes their win condition for making it to the